Hello everyone. With this diagram, we'll try to understand the internal circuit of basal ganglia. The important nuclei of basal ganglia, they are corpus striatum, which is made up of choroid nucleus and putamen. Then we have globus pallidus, which is globus pallidus externus and globus pallidus internus. There is a subthalamic nucleus and also substantia nigra. The main input of the basal ganglia is corpus striatum, whereas the output is from mainly the globus pallidus internus. Globus pallidus internus, it inhibits the thalamus, but the thalamus always sends excitatory output to the cerebral cortex. There are two important pathways when uh, in between the striatum and the thalamus. They are direct pathway and indirect pathway. In direct pathway or loop, when corpus striatum is excited, it is going to inhibit globus pallidus internus. Globus pallidus internus inhibits in turn the thalamus. That is, inhibition of inhibition is called as disinhibition, and thalamus is excited because of the indirect pathway or loop. In indirect loop, when corpus striatum is activated, it is going to inhibit the globus pallidus externa. Globus pallidus externa in turn inhibits subthalamic nucleus. That is, inhibition of inhibition is disinhibition, and it is going to excite the subthalamic nucleus. Subthalamic nucleus in turn stimulates globus pallidus internus, and globus pallidus internus inhibits the thalamus. So the indirect pathway or indirect loop is always inhibitory in nature, and the activity in the basal ganglia is going to depend on the balance between these two pathways, that is, direct pathway and indirect pathway. They are excitatory and inhibitory respectively, and the inhibitory pathway always dominates. And there are two uh, parts of corpus striatum, that is, caudate and putamen. Some of these direct and indirect pathways, they travel through either caudate or putamen. They are respectively called as caudate loop and putamen loop. The caudate loops, they are very important for the cognition, whereas the putamen fibers, they are responsible for the maintenance of muscle tone. And we have a substantia nigra also, which connects the striatum through the nigrostriatal pathway, and they are going to mainly secrete the dopamine as a neurotransmitter. They produce both the neurotransmitter, that is dopamine 1 and dopamine 2. Dopamine 1 is excitatory and dopamine 2 is inhibitory, where dopamine 1 is going to facilitate the direct pathway, whereas dopamine 2, it tries to inhibit the indirect pathway. In case of Parkinsonism, where there will be deficiency of dopamine 2 in the nigrostriatal pathway, it fails to suppress the indirect pathway, so the thalamus is excited, and this excited thalamus is going to increase the muscle tone, and which is going to lead to development of the rigidity in Parkinsonism. At the same time, when there is a deficiency of dopamine 2, it is in the corpus striatum, it is going to increase the relative activity of acetylcholine in the corpus striatum. That is going to lead to some of the hyperkinetic symptoms of uh, Parkinsonism, that is tremor. So this is in brief about the internal circuitry of basal ganglia. Thank you.